Okay, everything's okay, audio and video wise for you, right?
Yes, you look
Okay,
great.
good.
And
I feel fine.
yes.
My assistant is here waving in the background.
Hi, assistant.
Hello.
Hair, I
I
call
love
her
these.
hair. On a day like this, I just refer to her as hair and makeup.
I love it. And it's vice versa when she goes on, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I have to say before I start for a second, or maybe I started already, but I was so looking forward to today just because I enjoyed you both so much last time. Now I'm tearing up. I get too emotional. It's all those acting classes. But it just feels so comfortable, just like
Well, I must say that you are a comfort inspiring person. You are a person who thinks before and during when he talks, which is lovely, and also it's so complimentary when you actually listen and respond. I mean, that's the art of conversation, is it not? And
yeah.
that's how we would that the whole country would suddenly get into that mold, so that we learn from each other and can kind of just chill out.
Right.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
The music of this amazing man is a healing glue that brings a person together when they feel lost or found. Or just being somewhat of a meditation time. I was looking today online. It's like here the phrases that came out: reflections in time, the beautiful world, renewal, the soundtrack of our lives. Such classics. This land is your land. Green fields. It feels like a simpler time, a time where you could take a breath and even be more in the moment. Today we have, it makes me, I was going to say smile and then fell. The founding member of the Brothers Four, Bob Flick. Bob!
David, thank you very much. Good afternoon to you, and thank you for those lovely words. And listening to that summary as you just announced, yeah, I guess that's where we've always been. That when we were young kids, the four of us, the original four of us, up in Seattle, that kind of spoke to us. Those were, this was in the late 50s and 60s. We started, this is our 60th year. So we started in 1959, 1960, and they were simpler times.
When you were young, one.
Yes.
You came out of the womb playing, right?
Singing, yeah, which was tough with the bass, quite frankly. So, yeah, that kind of music always appealed to us. Simple melodies, simple thoughts. But, there's Dylan learned how to take that whole first beginning of the first 8 or 10 years of the folk revival. He learned how to take that attitude and those formats and that structure and start to fold in a little more complicated thinking, but still in simpler terms, very deceptive, very simple things that still carried a message. So even though it's simple, simplistic, and easy to hear and listen and maybe sing along with, there's some substance there too. There's some things to think about. And I think that's what drew us to it all along from day one. Yeah.
Now, where did you all meet? Did you all meet in school?
At the school, University of Washington. We were in the same the same fraternity up there, which is where the Brothers comes from.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so we would sing for campus parties and talent shows, things like that. Just the standard kind of MGM musical. How did you get started?
Right. I love
and
that.
at one one of them, if you have just a minute for a story,
Yes.
when we were there at the fraternity,
Yeah.
as you may recall, fraternities, sororities were very, maybe still are, rather competitive, on campus, trying to always pledge the next golden boy, golden girl. So we got a call one day, one afternoon, Saturday afternoon, from a woman who said, "I'm the secretary for Mr. Jack Baird down at the Colony Club here in Seattle." And we said, "Oh my goodness, yes." And the Colony Club at that time was the place in Seattle for live music, live, and it was the nightclub in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's where Pat Suzuki started, as a matter of fact, at the Colony Club in Seattle. So very famous place. And we said, "Well, how nice of you to call. How can we help?" She said, "Well, we want you to come down if you have time this evening. Mr. Baird is waiting for you. We'd like you to come down and audition." Of course, it was a total setup by some rival fraternity. He didn't even have a secretary. We took it all and packed our suitcases and our instruments and showed up at the Colony Club. Hello. And it was like a movie, everything except he didn't smoke a cigar, but he did sit there and he said, "Well, kids, you're here, do a couple of numbers."
Right.
And he said, "You know what? I'm going to hire you. You guys can sing here on weekends." So we did for about, I don't know, what's a quarter in college? What's that, like 13 weeks? I don't know, a couple of 3 months, something like that.
Right.
So we sang for, I think, 2 quarters there every weekend. And I think he paid us in maybe appetizers of chips and beer, stuff like that. We didn't get any money, but we didn't care. And it was show business. And as a matter of fact, that's where we learned how to do a show. So later on, jumping to we went to San Francisco on an invitation of somebody down there to sing at the Hungry Eye
Oh God, yeah.
on a weekend. And we were able to do a show because we'd had the practice and the experience in that little Seattle club. That led to meeting the gentleman who became our manager, Mort Lewis, who was in the Bay Area because he managed Dave Brubeck at the time when they all lived in Oakland. So he said, "Well, go back and make a demo tape and I'll send it to Mitch Miller." Are you kidding? Mitch Miller at Columbia Records? They signed us. This was the magic. I mean, this is being in the right place at the right time, right? So on the 4th of July, 1959, the 4 of us got on an airplane. I think the first flight for any of us. And we flew to New York from Seattle, watching the fireworks down below. I mean, this is unforgettable. So I still remember. And then we recorded our first album that summer. And because we had done that we'd answered the prank, but worked at the club, we could actually do a show. So when the college concert world started, we could fit right in. And we weren't just a one record release, act. We could actually sing. And the college concerts were just magical at the time. That's when the high-lows were around and the Four Freshmen and of course Dave Brubeck and jazz.
Right.
So jazz and folk music sort of became the menu for the college concert business, which started like in 1960. So
have you written like a memoir yet? Because I mean,
no, not really. No,
it's like a fairy tale. I mean, I could see you on the plane looking down at the, and how the other, how it was set up, and they thought, oh, they'll go there and whatever. And it's like the doors just opened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is like a fairy tale. I don't know. Maybe we need to have hit bottom somewhere. I'm not sure to make the story real. No. It's a real fairy tale, and it's been alive and ongoing and getting even better every season since then. Really.
Well, I mean, Seattle is, to grow up there. So, they call it the Emerald City, of course.
Yes, they do. That's right.
And it is it's magical. I used to go up there a lot because my brother lived up there for 10 years.
Oh, cool. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lived in Federal Way.
Yeah, sure. Well, I grew up in a part of town called Ballard up there, where all the Scandinavians grew up there, So it was kind of still feels like home, I have to admit. I like to going up there. My 3 guys, I'm in Los Angeles now,
right?
But my other 3 guys are up there in Seattle in the area. They live in the areas around Seattle, on the beach and in the mountains, and so that's where we rehearse up there. So I still get to experience Seattle, the best of Seattle, actually, because
Right.
it
And it's
is.
such a nice getaway to go back there and
Yeah.
um
And
what
we do rehearse. We do rehearse a lot.
Yeah.
Even in these times when it's been literally no travel. In this last year and a half,
Right.
nothing has been open, and we're in the crowd business, and there ain't no crowd, so we just have to wait. It's opening up right now, so it's
Yeah.
all a little bit of light in the tunnel at the end. But we still rehearse, and I mean, they're just great. They're great guys, and they love the music, and we're all, I think we sound as good as, maybe a little better than the original group, because we're a little more mature now, and everybody has learned how to play the instruments, a little more study and a little more playing, and it's just, it's still a great adventure, and
Yeah.
we look forward to it every time. There's no drudgery involved with this. It's to connect with people like we do, and to have people come up to us at the conclusion of a concert and say, that that made me remember my family night when my dad first played this song, or whatever. These songs. A guy came up to me in Bethesda, Maryland, and gave me a hat. And he
Yeah.
said, "This is the hat I wore when I was your chopper pilot in Vietnam."
Oh,
And I said, "Oh my God, man, you made it." He said, "Yep. And thanks to your music, a lot of our guys made it."
oh, it's so true. It's
Yeah.
so true. And even, I woke up this morning and I started playing your music and I was like, I have to play this every morning. It starts the day off so beautifully. It just brings this calmness and sort of it centered me. I was listening to so many of your songs and of course the Winds of Green.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you. Yeah.
so beautiful.
Well, that's our newest song. That's called, we call that our song for the world right now. So we're eager to get that out a little more. It's pretty timely, and it kind of expresses um, a gentle approach and a gentle consensus that I think most of the world feels right now. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Well, and hearing that it's one of your newest songs, your voices, your songs are ageless. They're timeless.
Well, thank you.
And they have, this depth, this weight to them, which is so amazing.
Well, thank you. That was actually um, the background of that song, "Winds of Green," actually is a song I wrote for an expo and a world, um, well, sort of an eco festival in Japan. It was called Flowers and Green Festival in Nagoya, and that became their theme song. That was our song that we performed there for. So
Oh, when was that?
people like it in Japan a lot. This is about 6 years ago, I think it
6
was.
years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds great.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that the groups that you were all with. I wrote down this from the soundtracks of our lives, forever touched by common chords of humanity, classic songs of solace, loving reimagined for our times. I could keep on reading: The Eternal Hope for Peace, Story of America, A Sweet Family Lullaby. I mean, to go to your website and read this, and you just get sucked in. What, when growing up, and even now, who inspired you, or what inspired you? And the second part of that is, who inspires you now, or what inspires you now?
Well, I think growing up was obviously, in terms of media, radio, and television, simpler times. The menu was simpler.
Right.
You chose the top 40 station or the classic station on the radio, or one of three networks on television. And I think being up in the Northwest, there was maybe a little sense of nature. And Woody Guthrie used a lot of the resources of the Northwest as subjects for his songs about America. Roll On Columbia, This Land Is Your Land, certainly touches on the Columbia Valley up there. And Burl Ives was a great friend of a very colorful gentleman in Seattle who ran he ran the fish and chips shop down in the harbor in Seattle, right where all the tourists would get onto the ferry boats, right? And
Right.
his name was Ivor. So this was Ivor's Fish and Chips. And Ivor became a great friend of Burl Ives, who ended up living up in Washington State in his last few years. And so part of how, it's a long story, sorry, but a part of Ivor's commercial advertising choice was that he would sing with his guitar these kind of Woody Guthrie folk songs, one of which is called Acres of Clams. I don't know if you've ever heard that song, but I've traveled all over this country, prospecting and digging for gold. I've tunneled, hydraulicked, and cradled, and I have been frequently sold. You know, this whole Woody Guthrie song,
Yeah.
surrounded by acres of clams, was the chorus line.
Oh.
And so he named his shop Acres of Clams. So, and we got to know him. I used to do little record pantomime stuff and all kinds of entertainment things as a kid in the Northwest. And we had a USO troupe, and we would go sing for the guys going over to Korea, and we'd sing for the men and women at the Air Force Base and all that. And so we got to know Ivor. I got to know Ivor a little bit and hung out and learned some of these songs. So I guess that's an influence for sure, you know. And I loved being on stage and you know, being able to get a laugh or get applause. You know, it's pretty cool. I was pretty shy guy. I just don't have any brothers and sisters. I was the one guy growing up, and magic and record pantomime and little shtick stuff. That's how you know, I could be somebody else. And so that worked pretty well. So that's how I kind of learned about that music. And then later on, when we got to college, those songs were pretty easy to learn. And the Weavers, of course, back in the 50s, with Gordon Jenkins arranging all these great songs like On Top of Old Smoky and Goodnight Irene and So Long It's Been Good to Know You, you know, that became sort of an easy thing to sing. And that got us, you know, it got us into the sororities. So we were able to sing for the girls. What's wrong with that? Huh?
Oh my gosh.
We would go and serenade them at night. They would come out on their sleeping porch and wave to us. And I mean, how happy days was that? I mean, it's so simple and so kind of innocent, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah, those were some of our influences. Just easy, simple songs to learn, and it's the kind of music that still connects with people to the degree of or to the extent of everybody. I would give the concert, you know, we do like a 90-minute show, right? I would say within 20 minutes, the audience is singing along, because it just is that kind of environment. As they hear, we start with maybe a little bit of calypso medley like Yellow Bird or Jamaica Farewell. And then we do, you know, Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Or, you know, and then we finish up with Try to Remember and all this. So at the end of the night, everybody's singing along. So that's how it started, and it still continues.
So whenever you're performing, it'll be on your website where you're going to be.
Yes, it will. When when the performing gets back up and running, that is correct. And there's some things beginning to happen later this year, 2021. And Washington State is, well, many states are like open now, so that's nice. And it's really up to you know, it's up to the venues. It's a challenge for them, to those who have not kept their staff around, you know. They've got to staff up again and get up and running, because they've been restricted. Maybe some state says, okay, you can run with 20% of an audience. Well, they can't do that. And so now they're starting to get back online. We've got some stuff in Florida in November, and that's all good. We're in Arizona in February, January, stuff like that, you know. And maybe back to Thailand, as I mentioned to you before.
Right.
We might be heading back there.
You know, and it's interesting because I heard of some of the wonderful clubs in LA have shut down, but there's still other ones that are going, like the Catalina Jazz Club.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, you were talking about singing at the sororities and all of that, and I'm going to throw out a name, and whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
Lonnie Anderson.
Who?
Who? Oh, I don't know. I just thought of
Well,
his name.
I did meet her back in those early days, back in the 60s.
Right.
She was not in a sorority. You want me just to give you clues, or shall I just?
I will go with your lead.
Well, Lonnie and I met back in the early 60s, 63, as a matter of fact, when we were in Minneapolis, Minnesota, to participate in a world premiere of a movie, a motion picture that we had done the soundtrack for.
Right.
The Brothers Four did this theme song to 55 Days at Peking, a movie with Charlton Heston and Ava Gardner and I don't know who else, a lot of people. So we were there on I think it was like probably a weekend. And the idea was that we were there with all the kinds of press and everything and talking, and we didn't perform, but we were there and waving and all that stuff. And the photographer was someone who would come down and hire a local a model from the local, some beautiful young lady to come in. And I think he figured out that with a beautiful young girl in the picture, he'd get much more of a chance to have his picture published in the newspaper. So that was Lonnie, and that's how we met. And we got to talking, and we invited her to come to the show. And she and one of her girlfriends came to the concert that night, and we just ended up knowing each other for, I don't know, a year and a half at least. And it became a long distance relationship. I used, there are no cell phones, so I used to call her from the different parts of the globe at the strangest hours that I probably was never very aware of.
Oh.
And I think her dad had to answer the one phone in the house, Lonnie, it's Bob, so, but we were fine. I got along well with her parents, and she flew out to Seattle to meet my folks and all. So it was good. It was a good friendship, and it continued for a good time. And then we parted ways. My dad passed, and I was affected by that. I'm dealing with my mom and taking care of my mom, and all. So we drifted apart, and we both went on to do amazing things, and especially Lonnie. Yeah. And then we reconnected back in the early 2000s. She was on a speaking tour, a nationwide speaking tour on behalf of the people who were very concerned with those who were either dealing with or unable to prevent, or maybe just wanted to learn more about COPD, which is that terrible lung disease, that chronic bronchitis that and all of our parents, of course, smoked like chimneys. Her parents both passed because of that, mine also. Anyway, she was in Seattle as part of that lecture speaking series of seminars that she did. And just on a whim, she insists it was a whim. She found the number of our office in Seattle. She called it the Brothers Four office, and I happened to be in and answered the phone. And she said, "Excuse me, I'm Lonnie, and I'm looking to speak to Bob Flick." And I just realized, I'm telling you this story, I just realized now I stood up. I stood up, and I was just quiet. I said, I gotta try and think of something funny to say, clever about Minneapolis, but I'm not able to. How are you? So it was a nice reconnection. We had dinner that night and stayed in touch from then on. And I ended up moving to LA, and we've been married now for 13 plus years. Yeah. Talk about a fairy tale, huh?
I know, right? That story always, that's the first time I've heard that story, but I know from when we had the visit with Lonnie, just that love story just fills me up, and it actually gives me hope, because I haven't met that special someone yet, and I'm just it's sort of like a little bells.
Yeah.
It's like music that rings in my ears saying, "Hey, you're still here."
Yeah. And it just be open to it, because it'll happen if you're open to it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. I'm a happy guy, and she's inspiring and she's funny and fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So clear, so clean.